Alright, hey guys, today we're gonna be reacting to, I taste every steak I taste steak recipes for every decade. The thing is, I see people react to this. I see people react to, I taste every school lunch from every decade, and I taste, every airplane meal from every decade, but I haven't seen people react to their other I taste recipes from every decade, such as this one about military food, and this one about dessert, and this one about toast and prison food. So I'm gonna do so. If anyone's not gonna do it, well, I'm gonna do it. So let's get into this reaction, shall we?
In this video, I'm going to be cooking and tasting a classic steak recipe from every decade. Starting off with 1910, where the average steak per pound cost 25 cents. Yep, you heard me right, about 25 cents, but you have to consider that the average pie. To make this right, about 25 cents.
25 cents. That's not really bad for. That's not really bad of a price.
But you have to consider that the average family was making about $100 a month. So having steak for dinner was seen more as a treat than an everyday meal. One of the more popular recipes
steak costs now
was the steak and kidney pie. To make this dish more filling, they used kidney because it was so inexpensive to buy. It was about 5 cents per pound. And with the puff pastry, this made it such a filling meal, especially during hard times like World War I, where a lot of people didn't have money like that. So having
that looks delicious.
Steak and kidney pie for dinner was something everyone looked forward to. We made it to our first decade, 1910, and in front of us we have a steak and kidney pie. Have you ever had something like this before?
Never eaten kidney. I'm really curious.
Never even heard of this. Yeah, but that looks delicious.
See how it tastes. It looks crazy.
This dish back then was very inexpensive and a dish to feed the whole family. Let's go ahead and dig in and see what this tastes like.
No, let's do it.
Oh, I'm scared. I gotta get some of that puff pastry with it. This is a big bite. Let's take it. Cheers. Whoa. You remember we put a little bit of kidney. We didn't put like a giant slab.
Right, yeah.
We just rolled it in the meat with a little bit of that fat. I was expecting me not to like it, and I like it a lot.
3.5 counts.
I gotta say,
me
I'm at a 3 out of 5.
Me personally, I give it 4 counts.
Okay. I want to go more. It's delicious, but we got many more decades to try, so let's hop over to the next one.
Let's go. Look at this fucking guy. Look at him.
We're now in 1920, where the average steak per pound costs about 38 cents. And French cuisine is having its moment in America. It's post-World War I, and economic growth is booming. And now more people have disposable income. This is why it's called the Roaring 20s. Like, people were indulging in themselves and going and having some fine dining.
Yep, that is pretty true.
And because of that, more French chefs started moving to America and opening up their own restaurants because the demand was there. And one of the more popular dishes during this time was steak jardiniere. Probably really butchered that pronunciation, but it was super popular because it was like a hearty beef stew that was rich in flavor and just super filling. And in front of us, we have what's called a
Now that looks delicious.
steak jardiniere.
Is it steak or beef?
Steak.
Steak what?
Steak jardiniere.
Are you French?
Steak jardiniere. Oh, oui, oui. Cheers. It's hot. Be careful. Imagine a cold day, too. Oh, your feet are cold. You come home, you take a shower, and you get all that dirt off, and then you get this dish.
Yeah,
Steak.
yeah, that looks delicious. I give it 4 cows.
And it's like,
Just comfort.
it's just comfort. I was at a 3 cows, but I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 2.5 cow. I think it could be a little bit better. I think there's things that are missing.
It's a solid 3 for me.
All right, let's go on to the 30s. Let's do it. We're now in 1930, where the average steak per pound costs 42 cents.
Wow, these prices for steak is really cheap. Yeah.
One of the more popular recipes was the Swiss steak. And as you can see, I'm tenderizing it by just throwing it into a bag and hitting it with a mallet. This makes a really tough cut of steak tender and enjoyable to eat. 10 years later, and now we're in the era.
Oh yeah. Comment down below. How do you prefer your steak? Me personally, I prefer it medium well. Yeah. And also, do you prefer your steak to be chewy, or do you prefer it to be tender or fatty? You know, comment down below. And do you put A1 sauce on your steak as well?
Era of the Great Depression, completely opposite from the
Comment down below.
Roaring 20. There was so much financial hardship, widespread unemployment. This was one of the worst economic times in America. But it didn't stop people from eating delicious meals. Up that with the tomato-based sauce and the essential vegetables, this made it a well-rounded and inexpensive meal for its time. Now in 1930, and in front of us, we have what's called a Swiss steak. It's kind of like the last dish in 1920, but just some more ingredients. Like, I feel like we got a little fancier.
1930s is the Depression, so I guess
Yeah,
if you were
Great
having
Depression.
steak, this must have been like a rich
Not
person's
gonna
meal.
lie, that looks pretty delicious. You know. I'll probably give it like 4 cows.
Or something?
So no. So if you noticed, Brian, when I was taking the meat out, I was hitting it with a mallet. Most families couldn't afford meat and they'd have to get a cheaper cut. And then tenderize it, they would just hit it. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. We're now in the 1930s, baby. Meat is so tender. So let's see what this tastes like. Cheers. A lot more flavor than 1920, right? Onions and the tomatoes, I mean, they add so much to this bowl.
I could definitely see something like this being on the menu, like
100%. And it's super cheap to make. I'm not a fan of this dish. They kind of just threw everything together and then made something out of it. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 1 cow.
what? I'm a grateful guy. I'm giving this a 3. 3 cows.
3?
3 cows, baby.
I give it 4 cows.
Oh my goodness. We're now in 1940 where the average steak per pound cost 36 cents. It kind of went down in price. It's 1940 and this is the peak of World War II. And the government started opposing food rationing. This program was implemented to make sure there was enough food for not only civilians, but military as well. And this included meat. So many people that went to the grocery store, the options were limited. Like, you went to the butcher and said, hey, give me a ribeye steak. And they were like, we don't have any. But the next best thing was ground beef, and they had a lot of fat. We've made it to the 1940s, and what is this?
Not gonna lie, I don't really like it. 1 star. Let's just move on to the next decade. Yeah.
Today's video, Dre. Out that microphone, baby. My description. You're going to. All right, let's go ahead and. And of course, that led to people ended. America. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 cows.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
Really?
This is a 2 cow. 2 cow grading.
We made it to 1950, where the average steak per pound cost 74 cents. It's 1950, and World War II just ended. America saw huge growth in their economy, and people were back to having disposable income. There was also a suburban boom. This is where developers started investing in suburban areas in the United States. And of course, that led to people having backyards, and that led to people grilling. It also helped that grills became a lot cheaper, that the average person could finally afford one. Also in this era, refrigeration technology became even better, and that led to the popularity of dry aged beef. We're finally in the 1950s, and in front of us, we got the dry aged steak that we also grilled. Dry aging and grilling were super popular in this era.
Yeah, and you know, grilling steak, grilling meats on the grill is like very celebratory. Like, it's something, it's festive, and like World War II just ended. The economy's booming.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense.
Frank Sinatra loved dry aged steak. Cheers.
That's pretty cool.
There's a little hint of tanginess.
I give that 5 cows.
Yeah.
Meat. And that's because of the dry aging process.
Tastes like perfectly made beef jerky in a way, but it's
Yeah.
like tender at the same time.
Yeah, that's the thing about dry aging is that it kind of creates this like shell around the steak to protect the inside of the steak. But I'm gonna go ahead and rate this a solid 4 out of 5 cows.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it 5 cows.
All right, well, let's go into the 60s and see what it's about.
That's it.
Now in 1960, where the average steak per pound cost 89 cents. In 1960, fine dining became even more popular. Dishes like the one we're making called Steak Diane was a fan favorite. One of the reasons was because it was prepared tableside in upscale restaurants. And this was seen as like a glamorous dish. And one of the more entertaining things about this dish is the flambe. I mean, look at that thing. It almost burned down my house. So when you combine everything about this dish, it's something people didn't experience and have at the time. So Steak Diane really had its moment in the 1960s. We're now in the 1960s, Brian, and in front of us we have this elegant dish, Steak Diane.
Why is it called Steak Diane?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. There's just theories out there about
Not
like
even
a-
ChatGPT?
Not even ChatGPT.
Did they have ChatGPT in the 60s?
This dish was served in high-end restaurants, and this was super popular in the 60s. And this was like a status symbol right here.
Oh, perfectly cooked.
Perfectly cooked, right?
Cheers, my good man.
Dude, that is delicious. And if I was in the 60s and I had this, I would post it on Instagram. I'm gonna give this a 4 cows out of 5.
4 cows
I give it 5. That was
out of 5.
It's delicious. That sauce is unbelievable.
4 cows out of 5.
Nice.
Easily.
Well, I'm happy that you agree with me. Let's go ahead and groove on through to the 70s.
Yeah.
We're now in 1970, where the average steak per pound cost $1.30. In 1970, food science and technology were becoming more and more advanced and working together to make the best products. And one of the biggest inventions to come out of that was the sous vide machine. It's basically this rod that you stick in water, pick the exact temperature that you want, and then just throw in a vacuum sealed steak. And it cooks the steak to that exact temperature. All you do is just sear it off at the end, and you got a perfectly cooked steak every single time. But at that time, it wasn't something consumers had at their house. It was used in professional kitchens because each machine cost anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. All right, well, we grooved on through to the 1970s.
I give it 5 cows.
And in this era, Brian, steakhouses just blew up everywhere.
My favorite steakhouse is Outback. Yeah, and their blue and onions and their bread are to die for. Like, if you ever tried it, you know it is amazing.
They're like popping up like Starbucks.
I'm excited to try it. I've never had a sous vide steak. Cheers.
Cheers. Cooked perfectly. Like, what a genius that chef was that invented this. You can leave it in the water for hours. It doesn't overcook.
That's delicious. What are you going to rate it?
I think I'm gonna go ahead and rate this a 4 out of 5 cows.
I rank it 5.
5 for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's perfectly cooked.
Yeah.
Tastes amazing. It's like just the perfect steak.
Yeah. Well, let's go into the 80s.
Let's do it.
We're now in 1980, where the average steak per pound costs $2.52. TV dinners and microwavable meals was a common thing in most households. This was due to busy lifestyles. More and more households had both parents working, so it was exhausting coming home from a long day of work and then having to make a meal for the entire family. It was just easy to pop in something in the microwave for like 3 to 5 minutes, and you got a whole dinner. And of course, you're seeing me make this from scratch, but this is how it was made and then frozen and sold to the consumer. Another appeal to TV dinners was not only how convenient it was, but how affordable it was. I mean, a whole TV dinner would cost about $1.50 to $2. I mean, you really can't beat that price. We're now in 1980, which is also kind of known.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I don't like TV dinners. Yeah, they're horrible. Except the chicken pot pie TV dinner and the chicken Alfredo TV dinner. Yeah.
As like the king of TV dinners. Like this was the era where TV dinners was on a boom. This was like the hot thing back then. If you were a worker in the 1980s and you came home and you had a TV dinner, Salisbury steak, would you be happy, or do you want to go back to the 20s?
Lucky me. My wife uses Swanson TV turkey dinners. And make your husband lucky too.
I think I'd rather go back to the 20s, yeah. TV dinners are...
Yeah. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. Cheers. Oh, that's interesting.
You're eating your TV dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, I give this 0 cows because it's a TV dinner.
Family, or maybe they went to bed, whatever. What do you have on TV? What are you watching?
I'm watching RoboCop. That was one of my favorite
Same. I like RoboCop.
movies ever. I don't want to have ketchup steak.
I can definitely taste the ketchup. Definitely not my favorite.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's that higher echelon of steaks that we had in the previous years. Yeah,
definitely. It's like we've been downhill.
Yeah, we went downhill. So I'm going to go ahead and rate this plate a 1 out of 5 cows because it doesn't taste good at all. And I would not be happy if I was in the 80s eating this.
1 cow.
You as well?
Yeah, 0 cows.
5, definitely, yeah.
All right, well, let's hop into the DeLorean and head over to the 90s.
This is not a blue moon. Now it is. Now it's not. Now it is.
All right, well, let's hop into the DeLorean and head over to the 90s, my favorite decade. It's 1990, and the average steak per pound costs $3.52.
I seriously need to get a YouTube Premium subscription. Yeah.
The Wagyu steak has been around for many, many decades in Japan, but it became popular in America in the 90s because they started realizing the value and quality of the meat. Also, one really fun side note, Wagyu actually just translates to Japanese cow, which I thought was pretty cool.
We're now in 1990.
Yeah, I always wanted to try Wagyu. You know, I heard it's pretty good.
Patrick was just born.
Yeah.
I was just born.
Yeah.
And we're coming into just an amazing world, aren't we?
Because we got Wagyu. Wagyu was actually brought from Japan by Whitney Morris. She brought it to America, but it didn't get popular until 1990. There's a lot of fat. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. Go. That is pretty delicious, but I just think it's a little too fat. Also, Wagyu, like a pound of Wagyu is like $100. It's crazy. It's so expensive. We never had this growing up. So I'm gonna go right down the middle with this one and give it
I give it 5 cows.
2.5 cows out of 5.
I'm gonna go a little higher. I'm gonna give it 3.
But let's get out of the 90s.
We're heading into the new millennium.
Let's do it. We're now in the new millennium.
Yeah. Also, do you prefer your steak to be chewy or to be fatty? You know, comment that as well.
2000, where
Comment that down below.
the average steak per pound cost $4.22. In the 2000s, cooking shows were super popular because this was before YouTube. I mean, people had to go somewhere to learn how to cook. And one of the most biggest cooking show was Emerald Lagasse. This guy was amazing. I remember watching him as a kid, and his show was so lively. And his best catchphrase was "Bam!" Every time he would season something, he would go "Bam! Bam! 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 Bam!" It was best. I mean,
Oh yeah, and he's also parodied a lot in media. Like in Futurama, there's like a parody character of him.
as a kid, that's what I was looking for.
Purple alien dude.
He was also well known for his steaks. One of the more popular recipes was this vampire steak, which was basically a tomahawk steak covered in a bunch of garlic. We're now in the 2000s, the new millennium, and in front of us we have what's called a vampire steak by Chef Emerald Lagasse.
He was actually the first celebrity chef I saw on television. He made this for a Halloween special on his show. It's called Vampire Steak.
Which is basically just a tomahawk steak. I used to watch a ton of Chef Emerald show with my dad, and I loved it when every time he went, "Bam! Bam! We're just cooking. We're not building no rocket ships or anything. Hey, are we having fun yet?" Remember that? It's actually on YouTube now. This is on YouTube channel. See what it tastes like. Here's my piece right here. Tomahawk steak. Cheers. Cheers.
This is 5 cows out of 5 cows.
It's so good. It's so tender. It's amazing.
And you know why it's just called vampire steak? It's because vampires are scared of garlic. I love the garlic on it.
Honestly, his show was the best. That's what really motivated me to get into cooking. I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you. This is a 5 out of 5 cows. It's absolutely delicious.
Yeah, same here.
The garlic, beautiful touch, tender. This is such a great cut of steak, man. Let's head over to 2010. It's now 2010, where the average steak per pound costs $5.55. We're now in the 2010s, and the world is a different place when it comes to food. More and more restaurants are exploring international
The decade that I grew up in, the 2010s.
cuisines and different dining styles. This is mainly thanks to social media. More and more people saw different types of cultures, different types of food, and brought that across the border. And one of the biggest ones was Korean barbecue. We're now in 2010, and Brian, we got Korean barbecue. And Korean food is one of my favorite cuisines ever. When was the first time you had Korean barbecue, Brian?
Oh, it was a long time ago, dude. Cheers, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like candy.
The meat is also super thin, so it cooks really fast. I give this a 5 cow out of 5. Nothing beats Korean barbecue in my opinion. I think it's one
Same here. That looks pretty good.
of the best barbecues out there.
5 cows out of 5 cows is a little bit too much for me. I'm gonna go 4 cows out of 5 because it's not really a steak.
All right, Brian, let's head over to our last decade, which is this decade.
Yeah, we're not heading anywhere.
Yeah, we're here, but we're not here. But the technology has advanced. Let's check it out. Finally made it to 2020, where the average steak per pound costs $8.
Meaning the current decade that we live in.
71 cents. We're now in 2020 where cooking technology is at its peak, and we got our hands on this Treo Chef Maker. This thing is a beast. You have multiple options for different types of steaks you want to cook. It also comes with an internal probe so it can cook your steak to the perfect temperature. One of the coolest features on the Chef Maker is the water that you put up top, which basically sous vide your steak. And once you pick how you want your steak to be cooked, all you do is press one button, sit back, and let the machine work for you. And as you saw in the prior decades, we actually had to cook
Now that's amazing.
the meat ourselves, make sure it was done exactly the way we wanted. But I'm so happy we made it to 2020 because cooking the perfect steak is so much easier.
Not much to say, man. We are in 2020. I mean,
We are in 2020, man. We are here.
well, we're supposed to be like 6 feet away from each
I
other.
know, it's like, what is it, pandemic time? One thing I'm like really impressed by is a machine made this steak.
Yeah, we were like watching it in the Dreo Chef Maker, and
Yeah.
it was like science fiction.
It was crazy. It was like spraying the water. I mean, that thing is so cool. And it cooked it perfectly. Like, I didn't do anything. I just seasoned it, plopped it in there, pressed a few buttons, boom. I mean, we're in 2020. We're in the future
It shows how far technology has come.
right now. I mean, we made it in like a futuristic machine. Does it taste any good? Does it taste better than pan fried? Let's go ahead and try this out.
Thank you, Dreo, for sponsoring this video.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
It's perfect.
That is actually really, really delicious. Super juicy, cooked perfectly through. It makes total sense that we have this type of technology right now. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 5 out of 5 cows because this was press 2 buttons, oil, salt, throw it. 5 out of 5 cows. Don't argue with me, okay?
I'm gonna go ahead and agree and say 5 out of 5 because I know I said the same
Same here, 5 cows.
thing on the 1950s steak.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
With like 20% of the effort, 10% maybe. So
Yeah.
5 out of 5 for me. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Should we go over to 2030?
Well, that's the end of this video. If you like this video, like, subscribe. If you like this reaction, like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the notification bell to be updated for new videos. And oh yeah, comment down below what was your favorite decade of steaks. Mine was the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Would have to be my favorite. So yeah, that's all. Goodbye. This has been Brandon, the Reacting Reviewer. See you next time.